Good morning, folks. It is March. Yay! Today I wanted to go over the next activity that we're going to be working on. And we finished up observational drawing kind of last week. If you haven't finished yours and you're working remotely, please make sure that you take a photograph of your observational drawing of your shoe and send that in. Really make sure you focused on the value. Now, our next piece is going to be Dreaming of Handscapes. That's the name. And we're going to start out by actually doing a worksheet, which you can access right here. Remember, if you click and drag it all the way to the top of your screen, it will open right up. You will want to print this one out, okay? That'll be important. I've got the handout, the rubric, and the focused artist right here. But today I just want to focus on the worksheet and beginning your sketches for your hand drawing. So to show you that, I'm going to pull up my visualizer here. And this is the worksheet. Form from 2D to 3D. So the first thing is to draw a simple shape in a variety of ways. The first way would be using a contour line. Well, you've done that because you were working on contour line when you were working on your shoe. So if I were to do a shape, I think I might do a circle, just to share with you guys. Now, the thing about circles with contour lines is they don't really look like they're three-dimensional. They're going to look very flat, okay? And that's normal. But to create a 3D circle, and by the way, you can choose what shape you want as well. When I make my circles, I always go around a few times, and I'm using my 8B or my ebony pencil here. To shade it in such a way so that it appears as though it's three-dimensional, you want to figure out where your light source is coming from. So on this cube, the light source is coming this way. So if it's the same here, then what I'd want to do is I'd want to shade around my circle in such a way that it appears as though I'm actually creating a shaded crescent moon. Okay? And I would also use a blending stick with this as well. I don't have one right at the moment, but you can kind of see how I'm creating a bit of a shadow in the back and around the sides, and you start to see curvature here. Now, with this, using your blending stick, you can shade it so that it's nice and soft. If you want to get rid of this line, you could also create a little bit of value coming out around the side to make it look super bright. That's a little bit more advanced, but you're more than welcome to try it if you want to. Okay? The next one to create value, a drawing technique, is called cross-hatching. And with this, you're using lines, much like creating hashtags in a way. So again, my light is going to be coming from this direction. And just like I did before, I'm going to kind of create these lines that are creating what looks like a crescent moon shape around. But instead of really blending these lines, I'm going to leave them as lines. And then I'm going to start going in the other direction to increase the darkness of the line. So you can see here on my cube how I went in these kinds of cross-hatching directions. On my circle, I have to do it just a little bit different to show the curvature as well. So again, I'd probably do a little bit of shadow coming this way. And again, if you wanted to create a little bit of contrast outside the circle, you could do that as well. The last one here is going to be creating a shape using stippling. Now for this one, stippling is a lot like pointillism. You're using dots, okay? Now the further away, you probably can barely see this, the further away your dots are, the lighter they are. The more concentrated your dots are, and I'm doing this really fast, the more concentrated they are, the darker that area becomes. So in creating my circle, again, I'm having the light going in this direction. I'm adding in my dots to create something of a crescent moon shape, and The lighted area really doesn't have that much, but the darker area is going to have a bunch. And I'm going to make a little bit of an outside shadow here. There we go. All right, so I probably do more than that, but I just wanted to share that with you. Now, the next thing here is contour drawing. Again, 2 contour drawings of a friend. Now, if you're working remotely, you can't sneakily look around the room. But if you're working remotely, just grab a mirror, and you can even use your cell phone, and just do a little quick sketch of your pose, just kind of capturing the outside, not a whole lot of detail. Try doing 2 of those. Gesture drawing is a little bit different. You can see that my figure here looks a little bit like one of those posable figures. With that, you're drawing really quick. You're drawing in shapes, and you're trying to get down some kind of gesture or pose. So try doing 2 of those, okay? Then, what I want you to do in your sketchbook is I want you to try drawing some hands. The first thing I suggest to students is when you start sketching your hand is actually trace your hand first. Now I know this sounds a little strange, but stay with me. So when you trace your hand to avoid getting those long alien fingers, keep your pencil straight up and down and then easily go around each finger, and that will give you a more accurate shape. Sometimes it's fun getting those alien fingers, but for this you really want to make sure that you've created what I call a chunky turkey, okay? So now we're going to break the hand down into shapes. So when you look at your hand, mine especially, you can kind of see here, has lots of different little creases and different joints. In your thumb, you have 2 external joints. On the rest of your fingers, you actually have 3, okay? So the biggest part of your hand, I often call sort of like the bucket shape right here, okay? Then each of your fingers have those 3 joints. So I'm going to put in 3 circles in each of my fingers. And some students like to make circles here for the knuckles. You can do that if you want. And then you have 2 bones in the external part of your thumb. But then what I call this, you've got this big meaty section of your hand right here. I call this the drumstick of the hand. Now the reason I'm having you break this down into shapes is because the next hand you create is going to be one where you actually draw the shapes first. Okay, so here is like the bucket shape of my hand. You can put in your knuckles if you want. This is that meaty section, and then the 2 fingers that kind of come out from that, the 2 bones. Then you've got the bones in your fingers, okay? Now, specifically, you want to take a look at the proportion of your hand. For me, my thumb comes up almost about where my index finger comes out of my hand. And then my middle finger is taller than my ring and my index. But my index and my ring finger are almost the same height. And my little finger is almost half the size. So as you are putting this together, you want to be mindful of those proportions. Okay, and I'm already noticing my thumb is too high. I'm going to move it down as I come around my hand using contour line. Now the beauty of this method, okay, is now that you know how to break down the hand into shapes, you can try other poses, okay? So if I were doing, my hand maybe to the side, I would notice how this part changes shape. I would notice the height of my thumb and my fingers sort of in proportion to one another. And I'm kind of drawing my hand this way, so it's a little bit different. And then I would go around again. This is very, very quick. Go around my hand with that contour line making some quick sketches. So you want to do at least 3 sketches of your hand. This one doesn't count, okay? I want you to really play with that. And even, be brave, take some chances with how you are going to position your hand in different ways. But start here. Start playing around with different ways to add value to three-dimensional shapes. Play with gesture drawing because this becomes more gesture drawing here. Play with contour line drawing for practice. Then in your sketchbook, work on some sketches. Okay? So that's where I'm going to start you for today. Tomorrow we'll go over a little bit more of this project. If you have any questions, just let me know.